So Brett Rasmussen, you've had a busy winter, just got back from Russia, but you have spent some time on the Summit X with Expert?
Yes, I have. I've spent some days on it, and really phenomenal package. There's not a big obvious changes, but there's a lot of subtle changes that make a huge difference in the way this sled handles.
So you've got the tunnel, the shocks, the skid, the handlebars, quite a few small changes. What do you think is the biggest change on that sled?
The single biggest improvement is getting rid of the big snow flap. That snow flap drags in the snow. It creates resistance. It causes the snow to have to all recycle through the tunnel. Removing that snow flap changes the whole game. And then with the shorter tunnel on it, it allows even more clearance and less resistance. It's huge, great benefit.
So what's happening? You talk about the snow going through the tunnel. What's happening there? Why does that rob so much power? Why does this make a difference?
Good question. So when you're in that deep, awesome powder snow that we have, the sled's digging a trench and it can't get rid of the snow because the snow flap is guiding the snow back through the tunnel and around the drivers, and it sucks up a lot of horsepower in doing so. The snow's heavy, it's made out of water, and when you evacuate the snow out the back, you're not recycling it, you're not pulling it forward anymore, and I don't know how much horsepower you gain, but it's significant, and it allows the sled to get up on the snow, accelerate, and it just works better in the snow.
All right, so with that Ride Rasmussen style, how does this tunnel come into play with what this snowmobile can do on those technical side hill maneuvers or just anything in the backcountry?
With the shorter tunnel, and the really short snow flap, it makes the sled more agile. It's not. It's not. If I use the term "stuck in the trench," you can guide it out of the trench easier. It takes less rider input to change directions. It allows you to, when you're climbing and slowing down, it allows you to pop out of the trench and turn around and go back down the hill a lot easier.
So is that only apply to like the expert level rider, or is that going to help somebody else that doesn't have that kind of experience level ride better in the backcountry?
I think it's going to help everyone. I don't know that an intermediate rider is going to recognize the benefit that he's feeling, but definitely the expert riders will recognize it, and it'll benefit everyone.
Okay, so talk about the front end, the ski, the changes to the bump stop on the ski rubber and the spindle. Why does that make such a big difference? I mean, we rode this sled and it's completely different on kind of an off-camber uphill or downhill side hill. What's happening?
So what's going on when you get your sled up on its edge so that you can carve on a side hill is that the ski that's in the snow is always wanting to, it wants to fold up to a degree, but when you counter steer, the tail of the ski is pushing down on the snow, and it tends to want to push you out of the hill. With the new geometry and what they've done with the ski stop is it allows the ski tip to bend down further, and so when you counter steer on a side hill, the ski follows the contour of the hill. If that makes sense, it just makes it easier to balance on its edge.
So what am I feeling on a regular Summit X versus that front end on the Expert? What is the sled doing on the hill on that front end?
On a regular sled, when you counter steer, the back of the ski is gouging in the snow, and it's pushing the sled out of the hill. It wants to tip it down, and this allows it to keep its edge easier and longer.
Okay, and what about the different shock calibration, the spring rate? Well, I don't know if it's a different spring rate, more of just a lighter weight steel coil spring, but the internals are different, the valving is different. How does that change the sled?
So as far as I know, it's the same spring rate. I'll have to research that, but you're right. The valving in the shock is a lot more aggressive, and so it feels like a stiffer package, and it certainly is. And what that does is when you're on your edge going through the timber, the terrain, you have more suspension capacity, and it gives you a better feel for what your ski's doing in the snow when it's engaged in the terrain. It doesn't give you that mushy feeling. It's more solid, or more gives you a more secure feeling.
Okay, and you have to have been a big proponent of the lower bar riser.
Yeah, of course.
How do you like that on this sled? Plus the smaller diameter grip on the bar and that.
I don't know if you're a proponent of the short riser, but you can always add, right? You can change that out. No, the truth is, I always tell people that if you want to go in the really steep technical terrain, the lower you run your bars, the more control you'll have of that sled. If you're not ready to go into that terrain, you don't need to run the bars as low as the guy that is, and that's the bottom line. You have more sled control when you're in the wrong foot forward position on your edge in the technical terrain with low bars.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Brett.